Hello. Today is Saturday, January 3rd, and I just watched the series finale of Stranger Things. I have to get them out. I took 4 whole pages of notes. Um, so I have a lot to talk about. I'm pretty sure this video is going to be super duper long. Also, ignore the stuff in the background. I get on plane in like 6 hours. So I'm packing at the same time. I watched this video with my sisters. It was really fun for like all three of us to sit down together and watch this video together. It was like super duper fun. So I love that. I took so many notes. So I'm sure like this will be a really long video as I talk about all of it. But yeah, I'll just get like right down to like. Actually, no, I should say I really liked this video. Or this episode. Like it's a cute ending to the whole show. I mean, it's been so long. I feel like since I like finished a show. Like I think the last time I watched a show that was completely over for the first time was like when my dad and I watched all of Twin Peaks together, and that the ending to that show is a special something. So this is a little bit more straightforward than that, and I thought the ending, especially like the last scene, was like super duper cute and like bittersweet, and I really liked that. Um, this episode did not need to be 2 hours and 8 minutes long though. Like it really did not need to be that long. I have like some gripes with like the editing and like the length and stuff like that because of the editing and the way that went. Um, which I didn't particularly like. Like my sister had a theory that they sort of like shot all of season 5 and then figured out how to divvy up the episodes because there's a lot of weird sections in this episode which started to get really annoying where they like cut to black and then immediately cut back into the scene, and I was like, it's fucking annoying, and it doesn't make it suspenseful, it just makes it really obnoxious. um but yeah, I'll get into my notes. Okay, yeah, I was right on this one. Oh, I just wrote like the military guy has a grudge and it's gonna get himself killed, and then it ended up getting himself killed in the most glorious way possible. Where, because there's three of us, so it was me and my oldest sister. We're both like, "Fuck yeah, Elle, make this guy shoot himself in the face." And the middle sister was like, "This is really violent," and we're like, "Nah, let's go, Elle, kill that guy." And so I really liked his death scene. I think I talk about it later. But I was just like, I just watched that here where he was like, "We're not gonna tell Dr. K, we're just gonna head right in." I was like, this bitch is gonna die because he's fucking stupid. And I just, yeah, I loved that. Yeah. And then, oh, this was a note that my sisters made me put down, which I have to like add in some stuff to it. But the titles, like the titles for Stranger Things being too fast, because usually they do the whole like have everybody's names, and then it'll like cut to Stranger Things with the five in the background and stuff like that. And I kind of knew that they were probably gonna do like a long, fancy-winded like end credit thing, but both of my sisters were mad. They're like, "No names," and it's like, well, it's because they did a cool thing at the end, which like I'll talk about later because I really liked it. I thought it was cute. Um, but yeah, my sisters want to write me to write that down, being like, "There's no names. Write it down. Write it down." So I had that written down. Um, uh, oh yeah, I can't read my handwriting. My handwriting's trash garbage. I thought that said kissing. This is cussing. But the scene where Erica's talking to her teacher, and he's like, "Why are you cussing?" She's like, "The situation demands cussing." And I was like, "Fuck yeah, it does." And I love that where Erica's just like, we're fighting interdimensional beings. I think this situation demands cussing. Like, it should involve cussing, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. Just like, oh my god, bodily emotions. Well, I don't even remember what that's from, but like, I just write down random notes, and I'm like, I don't even know what half of these mean or reference to, especially if an episode's so long. I'm like, what am I even talking about? But it just says, I just have a note that says bottling emotions. Lol. So, bottling emotions. I just wrote down, I don't want to know what's in that water Ella's getting into, because they open up the top bit and they look it down, and I think it's just like, I don't know, like particles or like salt that's been like, you know, fusing together or something like that. But I will state, like, this water, even though it's stuck in a weird, I don't know, state of the same day, I guess, but like obviously there's still the passage of time in the upside down. This water is like 6 years old. It's 6-year-old tank water, and I just read it and I was like, I don't want to know what's in this water. Like, what kind of bacteria is growing in this water? There's a lot of salt in this water, but I don't know if all that salt is killing all whatever bacteria has been growing in this water. And I'm like, I don't want to know what's in that water. It's probably hella nasty. Um, but yeah, that was bonkers. Oh my god, yeah. My next note is just about the conversation between Mike and Will when they're like climbing up the radio tower, and like Will's like, I'm so glad we're still friends, and Mike proceeds to go, friends, not friends, best friends, and my sisters and I just went, thank fuck. We all thought this was gonna be a Byler moment, and all of us were like, kill me now. We're all just like, we don't have time for this. Nobody cares. And I was just like, thank fucking god that we're past the Byler now. But I had a mini heart attack at friends, not friends. Pause. Best friends. And I was like, you're gonna kill me. You're gonna kill me. I was just like, no. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Oh yeah, this is my first gripe with the cutting to black, where I was specific about it. But when Steve gets like thrown off the was it the tower, when the abyss starts collapsing down on top of the tower, and how it like he falls off and it cuts to black and then immediately cuts back, and like Jonathan grabs his arm, and I'm like, this would have been, well, I think it was one of my sisters who was like, this would have been a great place to end an episode, but they didn't. They're like, and now we're back, and I'm like, this is like, we knew Steve wasn't gonna die. This is just stupid. So I just found it really annoying. I was just like, you can have, I don't know, done that. Really? Like, it was obnoxious. And yeah, like, if you were gonna cut to black like that, cut to something else. Don't just like cut to black and then immediately cut in and Steve is saved now. Like, it's annoying. I did not like that. Oh yeah, and then when they get into the abyss and they're talking about how they're interdimensional space travelers now, and Lucas just goes, suck it, Armstrong, and I laughed so hard. I was like, that is hilarious. I love that. And then the conversation between, which, after it kept going, I was fine with it, but the conversation between Jonathan and Steve, where they were talking about Nancy, and I just wrote down, I still don't care about the love triangle, and my sisters and I, throughout the whole time, were like, hey, they should just kiss. They should kiss and make up, and we'd all be happier for it. But I do like that, like, through it all, they kind of realized it's like, you know, Steve and Nancy want different things, and then Jonathan and Nancy want different things, and that it's like they can all learn to be friends with it. But it was annoying that we were still going through this thing 5 seasons in, technically 6 years in, I think, if we're talking about like the canon of how long the plot of Stranger Things is. And I'm like, it's just annoying. So like, I'm glad it's over, but it was just like, I think it was moments like that where we kept spending time on like, yeah, it's a constant plot, like the Byler plot and the love triangle plot were something that we were sticking with even through season 5. But it was really annoying that we were like taking the moment to like pause and talk about these things, and I'm like, we don't have time for this. So I don't know what this is. Oh, I know exactly what this is about. I wrote down the words fucking Holly, because I finally remembered her name. But I think it's in reference to when she pulls a gun on Hopper, and I was like, stop, stop it. So yeah, I hated that. And then after that, I just wrote down, come on, Henry, face your fears. It was really annoying, or it was really funny, because I think me and the older sister were like, yeah, let's go, Henry, face your fears, let's go, you can do it. We were cheering him on, we're like, go into that cave. You got this, dude. And Yeah, it was so funny being like, you can face your fears, you got this guy. I loved it. Um, and then cutting back to Kali, Hop leaving her was kind of fucked up. Like, I don't like Kali. All like both my sisters and I we all had the same thing. We're like, we think Kali's really annoying. Like, we don't like her, but fully leaving her to the military was really fucked up. So I'm glad Hopper came back for her, but I was like, that was fucked up to just abandon her like that. And of course, the only reason Hopper came back is because Elle asked him to. So I was just like, that was just fully fucked up. I was just like, oh my god. It was ridiculous. And then shortly after that, with the super violent Elle, I loved that entire scene. I was kind of hoping we'd go back to that, a scene like that, because Elle, I mean, I get why she was, but she was like really violent towards, especially adults in season one. Where like there's that really cool scene where she essentially like makes everybody's brains implode at the middle school in season one, and like that was really cool. So I'm glad we kind of went back to that, where she's like, I'm gonna snap everybody's necks and then make this one guy who we all fucking hate because he's essentially like the new military like sub villain. Shoot himself in the face. And like I loved that. I was just like, this is so cool to get to like watch all of that occur. And it's just, I loved that. And then shortly after that, I just wrote down, I'm so here for sweaty Jamie Campbell Bower. He's so sweaty in this episode. And it's so funny. He just gets sweatier and bloodier. I'm like, it's a look. And I love it. And I was like, I'm pretty sure the rest of the internet loves it as well. But I'm just like, I'm so here for sweaty, bloody Jamie Campbell Bower. It's just, I'm like, nah, he can get rid of the nice demeanor. I want sweaty, bloody Jamie Campbell Bower. That's what I am truly here for. And then after that, I wrote down that I was correct that the briefcase is how Henry got his powers. I didn't think it would be a weird ass rock that speaks to him. So there was that. But it's like, it makes sense that the Mind Flayer is its own thing. Um, and that, like, he is kind of controlling the Mind Flayer, but the Mind Flayer is also controlling him. So that, I think, like, I'm kind of glad we got that explanation with that, where it's just like thing. I didn't write anything about the battle, damn. But like sort of that section where it's like the Mind Flayer is its own thing and Henry's his own thing, but then they sort of like melded together, and like obviously Will has the conversation being like, you were a kid and you were scared, like, you know, you didn't have a choice like the rest of us, and he's like, no, I did have a choice and I chose this thing, which I think could be true, but I do think part of it is that like he was a kid and was essentially groomed by this weird voice in the back of his head telling him to destroy the world. So I think it's very much that questionable thing about that. But like I did really like that part, and then I got the giant mind flare thing was super cool, very spiky, but super cool. So I did like that. I did get a little bit spoiled about that. I like clicked away from the video so fast, but my friend sent me a video of like, it was just the shot of Elle jumping into the mind flayer's mouth, and it was a reference to Attack on Titan. I was like, oh, so we're Attack on Titaning this shit right now. And I clicked away so fast, I was like, this bitch. And I was like, I didn't tell her that I hadn't seen the episode yet, but I was like, no. So I was like, so now we get a giant flesh Demogorgon thing, and then finally watching it, and I don't know why, but the flesh Demogorgon kind of reminds me of like the spider version of it, and it like Spider Pennywise essentially. I got Spider Pennywise vibes from it. Actually got a lot of like it vibes from that entire thing, especially with like pushing like Vecna onto like the spike in a way, and like all of them surrounding him. I was like, are they gonna bully him to death like they did with Pennywise? Like, what's happening? Which like, it's not subtle that like Stranger Things is heavily like inspired by Stephen King. Like, they're never subtle about it. So like that, it doesn't surprise me that they designed this whole thing with like possibly like the spider version of it from it like in mind with that. So like doesn't surprise me, but I just thought it was really really interesting. Um but yeah, I was just like, all right, we're going Pennywise on this shit right now. So, but I really liked that fight. I thought it was like the fight between Vecna and Elle. I thought it was really cool. They're just flinging at each other, but when like Will takes control and like rips his arm off, I was like, fuck yeah. I wish we had more of that though in this one. Like I wish that we had more of Will using his powers in this episode. But like I liked what they did with it, where it's like Will definitely is like, he's Will the Wise. Like he wants to talk to people and try and get to them through that way. And Elle is definitely more of a fighter, so I do like that. It's like Will is trying to talk to Henry and be like, you were just a kid, like you can fight it, you can like turn back, you can be a person again. And then Elle's the one that's like, no, I'm about to beat this bitch up. So I did really like that. Can I just have a note after that that was like, stop staring at the giant thing and go save the kids? Because they really just like stopped and stared at that thing. And I was like, you just set a thing on fire that has 12 children inside of it. Could you maybe enter said thing and make sure you didn't burn alive said 12 children? And then, of course, like, they go in and they take their sweet time with Holly, and then it takes forever to get the other kids. And my sisters and I were like, save the other kids! Save the other kids! And it's just, I just thought that was so funny. And then I loved Joyce, attacking Vecna and like killing him by chopping his head off, because one of my sisters and we were just like, oh, she's about to chop his head off, and the other one was like, I don't think she has that, like she'll probably blow it up, like I don't think she has it. And we're like, no, she isn't act, she's about to chop his head off. And then it happens, I was like, fuck yeah. And then I just wrote down stop cutting to black, because that's when I just got annoyed that it kept happening. But yeah, and then my sisters and I feel the same way, which is the music of choice for this episode, which is that Prince was not the way. It was weird. It was weird. It was like kind of, yeah, it was like kind of odd, especially with like, I wrote down like Prince over preteens is weird, because it's just like, it was just not the way to go. Like, Purple Rain was not the choice. Like, I was hoping for, like, Metallica or, like, Iron Maiden or, like, something more rock-based, because that's, like, what we've been getting throughout these seasons is more, like, rock-based, like, 80s music than, like, Prince and stuff like that. And I could be, like, I'm not very much of a Prince fan. Like, I don't listen to Prince. But it felt an odd music choice, especially for blowing up the Upside Down. Like, it just felt like an odd music choice to do that mixed with like the flashbacks of like Elle and Mike together. It felt weird. Like, I was not a fan of it. And then I also just wrote down, this episode wouldn't be 2.5 hours long if they weren't so many flashbacks. There were so many flashbacks. And I'm like, we don't need this many flashbacks. It's the same thing with the cut to blacks. I was like, you don't need this many flashbacks. It's just annoying. It reminds me, this is slightly off topic, it reminds me of Sleepaway Camp 2 and Sleepaway Camp 3, and how both of those movies were under the runtimes for how long they were supposed to be. So they added to it by adding in flashbacks, and it felt the same way here, where I was like, did they have like a number of minutes that they had to get to, and they had to add in like 10 minutes worth of flashbacks to like meet that quota or something like that? It felt like that. Like, it just got really annoying. I was like, once in a while it's fine. Like, I think you didn't need that many with Joyce's thing, but like, it just kept going, and I was like, stop putting in so many flashbacks. It's just obnoxious and unnecessary. And like, I feel like with that, if you've got a good enough actor, you don't need the flashbacks, because at that point you're just shoving exposition down my throat, and it's making me feel like, I feel like I'm being treated like a dumbass, being like, if I can look at Joyce's face, and I know that when Winona Ryder's a fantastic actress, and see the anger on her face, I can tell that she's remembering all the shit that Vecna did to her life by attacking her children, by killing Bob. Like, I don't need to see all these flashbacks, because I can see it on her face. And I feel like towards the end, like, some of them were fine, but like they kept showing it to me, and I was like, now I feel like the showrunners think I'm a dumbass that needs to have flashbacks thrown at me every 2 seconds so I can understand what's happening in a scene. And I'm like, I get it. I'm not the average moviegoer. I have a degree in this shit, but still, like, it was incredibly obnoxious. Like, the fact that my sisters, who do not have a degree in this shit, were getting annoyed by all the flashbacks, and they would probably have a similar thought to me, being like, no, I feel like I'm being treated like a dumbass, even though I, understand media literacy and can watch a movie and can understand context without fucking flashbacks. That is just like, oh my god, tangent aside, I found that so fucking annoying. Like, the flashbacks were just so goddamn annoying. Like, honestly, worse than the cuts to black. The cuts to black just felt weird. The flashbacks made me feel like I was a dumbass. I was like, I'm not an idiot, so stop shoving your flashbacks down my throat, because it's just fucking annoying. And it's like, I wouldn't be complaining about the length of this episode if you didn't keep putting flashbacks down my throat and being like, here you go, let me literally show you and not, like, let me tell you and not show you what's happening in the scene. It's like Elle walking through, like, the area with the tank and the upside down, and I'm like, well, no shit, of course she's traumatized. I don't need to see scenes from season 1 to understand that. I'm so mad. I didn't think I was gonna go on, like, a chaotic tangent about that, but the more I talk about it, the more pissed off I am. I'm like, I hate movies and shows that treat me like I don't understand media literacy. I'm just like, it makes me feel so mad. And I found it so obnoxious. And then I wrote several other comments about Purple Rain and Prince not being the vibe for that. And then we have the fast forward, which was wild. It was like, I knew we were gonna have some kind of fast forward. My first note for that is just Big Papa Baseball Steve. I love that Steve has just, like, channeled his inner dad, and he's like, like, he's coaching baseball, he's teaching sex ed. I need to see Steve teach sex ed. I want to see what a class of Steve teaching sex ed looks like, because that sounds thoroughly entertaining. Or he makes a comment that he's like, I'm teaching sex ed to prevent sex ed, or something like that, and it was so funny. Uh, yeah, why does everyone look so bad for the graduation scene? Everybody looks different. There are some people that look great. I think I like Robin with long hair. Um, my sister has spent all of season 5 complaining about Lucas's hair, so then when they changed his hair for the skip forward, she really liked it, and I was like, yeah, okay. And then Max looks really good, but everybody else looks really weird. Like, but actually, no, I like Dustin's haircut, but, like, most of us, specifically with Nancy, were like, that is not the haircut for Nancy. I don't like Nancy's hair. I don't like Karen's hair. One of my sisters really doesn't like Hopper's mustache. She says that it makes him look like a walrus. It is quite bushy, I will say that. Winona Ryder looks great, but that's just that she looks like Winona Ryder from the 90s, so, like, that changes nothing. But, like, some of the outfits, like, Holly's awful. Erica's also terrible. Like, they're very clearly, like, that is unfortunately the fashion of the late 80s, but, like, it looks awful. I hated it. I was just like, no, I feel like there was something else. We did talk about Karen's scars, because they looked weird. I don't remember. I think one of my sisters was like, it looked like she has, like, ropes around her neck. Like, it doesn't, especially the one on her neck and not the ones on her chest, it doesn't look seamless. Like, it looks a little off. And it's just, like, I don't know. I don't have scars that big, so I don't understand how they would heal, but it does look it looks fake. Like, that's my thing with that, is that it looks a little fake. But yeah, but this sounds really bad to say, but I do like that they had scars on her. It's like, obviously that scar, so it's like, I'm glad that they put in the effort to put those on, especially for such a small scene. But, like, yeah, I didn't write this down, but speaking of it, the scene right before the graduation scene where Mike is sitting in front of the town square or whatever with the memorial. I don't know why, because I know it's not like that, but it reminds me of, like one of the scenes in, I think it's It Chapter 1, where they're like standing around in a square similar, and it like cuts to Richie when he's talking about how he doesn't like clowns, and it like reminded me of that scene for some reason. I was like, ah. And it could probably just be because of the actor, but yeah, like I was like, oh, it's just because of Finn Wolfhard, but whatever. Yeah, I didn't have that written down, but it just reminded me of that. And I loved Dustin's valedictorian speech. My sisters pointed this out, but we were talking about Dustin's High School Musical style speech, where he's like, we're essentially all in this together, and there's the jocks and the nerds and the freaks. Um, and then screw conformity. I love that. I was like, because at one point I was like, he's gonna rip that fucking like cap and gown off and take off his suit, and there's gonna be a goddamn Hellfire Club shirt on, and lo and behold, there's a goddamn Hellfire Club shirt on. And it just made me laugh. But yeah, I really liked that speech. I thought it was really cute, being like, yeah, it's been, especially for Dustin, like I'm like the entire town knows like he was friends with Will went missing, and so it's like it's been some rough fucking years for Dustin and his friends, like even with what they don't know. And so I love that where he's like, yeah, screw conformity. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. Um, but yeah, what else do I have? Oh yeah, the finally got the Joyce and Hop date at Enzo's, and then I knew that Hopper was gonna propose because I kept saying I was like, he's gonna propose, he's gonna propose, he's gonna propose, and then he does a public proposal, and like me and my sisters were like, bleh. I don't like. Obviously, he's like Hop is such a savvy guy that he would do a public proposal like that. But like we were all talking, I was like, if somebody ever publicly proposes to me, I'm going to say no because I'm gonna want to kill them. I'm like, no. I was like, oh, it's the changing of the music. Oh, it's the getting down. Oh, it's the dancing. The only two people dancing now. I'm like, I hate every second. Like, I'm happy for them, but I'm also dying of secondhand embarrassment for Joyce right now. I was just like, this is cute, but also kill me. But I just love the fact where Hop's just like, your kids are gone now, which means we can do anything we want. And I thought that was hilarious. Um, but yeah, oh yeah. This is a stupid thing to write down. Cause after graduation, those like girls go up to Dustin and are like, I really liked your speech. Um, I'm throwing a party, you should come over. And they're like, okay, cool. And then Mike's like, I have something better. And I knew it was gonna be D&D. Um, but like, the fact that they all, I just wrote down, I knew it was gonna be D&D, but I can't believe Dustin chose bros before hoes. Where I was just like, I knew it was gonna be D&D, and I knew that Dustin would also choose D&D over girls, but I just thought it was so funny. I was just like, he's really choosing Dungeons and Dragons over going to a party with a bunch of chicks. And it's just, I laughed at that. I didn't write anything about that. No, I'm talking about D&D, but I'll circle back a bit to when Jonathan, Nancy, Robin, and Steve are all standing, like, hanging out on the squawk roof together, because I really liked that scene. I thought it was really cute. They faded to black with that one, too, because they love doing that. And we're like, that'd be a weird place to end this show. Like, ending it all four of them would be odd, but I did like that. It very much that scene and like talking about how they're all in different locations and doing different things sort of reminded me and my friends because we all do different things and live in different locations, and it very much is that same way where it's like, you know, they're all talking about meeting once a month in fucking Philadelphia, um and like getting together, which is still like once a month to go to Philly, especially from like I don't know anything about the East Coast because I live on the West Coast, but driving from like Indiana to Philadelphia sounds fairly far and a lot for like once a month. But I thought it was so cute because like I mean my friends trying to get together on Discord and stuff all the time, being like, we want to talk to each other, like I want to see your face, like we can't be in the same room together because some of us live much farther than that. And you know, flying is hella expensive. But like, I thought it was really cute where it's very much like, you know, you spend so much time like with, you know, a core group of people, and it's like you all start going your separate ways, and like then you have to come up with random things like that of being like, how are we gonna see each other? as often as we want to when we're all living separate lives. Like, you know, Steve's still in Hawkins, and Jonathan's at NYU, and like Nancy's doing her own thing, and I don't remember what Robin was doing, but I know that Robin also wasn't living in Hawkins anymore. But it's just very much like trying to find the time to hang out with your friends, like especially when you all live so far away and like live different lives and have different lives. And I just thought it was really cute that like they're sitting down and they're, you know, reminiscing about the past, but also talking, like catching up, being like, what are you doing? Or like Nancy being like, well, I dropped out and I have another job now, and we're like, yay, good for Nancy, and like trying to figure out your lives and stuff like that. And I thought that was really cute. And then going back to D&D, I really liked how the show ended with like ending on a campaign. Like we started on a campaign. It's basically the same scene, but they're older now. Like, and it's like starting off with the campaign and then ending with this campaign, and it's like now Max is a part of the company, which is really cute. And how they all have like their little binders that they all put back after like I like that Mike is a storyteller. Like he's, you know, he tells the story of what's going to happen to everybody. Um, like, you know, like Lucas and Max are still gonna stay together. Dustin's gonna go and study, but he has time to like hang out with Steve, even while he's studying. Um, and like Will, I don't remember. Will, oh yeah, like Will, you know, goes off to a different city and sort of discovers himself and figures things out like that. And I loved that. And then it's like, you know, but what does a storyteller do? And it's like he still writes stories. Like he can't write the truth about all of them. And it talks about like the possible theory that Elle is still alive, because my sister had a fucking fit because we watched the scene where Kali dies, and one of my middle sister was like, nah, she's not dead. And I was like, I don't know, she looks pretty dead. And I'm like, nah, she's not dead. So when they cut back to that, my sister gets up, throws the blanket that was around her on the floor, and she goes, I fucking told you she was still alive. And we're all like, shut up. We're listening to Mike talk, god damn it. And it's just, that was so funny. But of course it's just like a theory. Like we don't actually know what happened. Um, but yeah, I mean, it makes some sense of just like figuring out what's happening and stuff like that. That like Elle is still alive, but then it's like, you know, maybe Mike will actually go try and find Elle, because one of my sisters, actually both of them might have that. I wrote it down afterwards. Oh yeah, no reason for them not to know that Elle was still alive. Like I truly don't think there's a reason why Elle couldn't have like revealed that she was still alive later. Like I think it's a little ridiculous that if she is still alive that she just like hid like that. But I did have a feeling that like if anyone were to, like, I did have a feeling that Elle was still gonna go through with her like suicide run and stuff like that. But like if Callie did end up like helping with that and stuff like that. So yeah, but I did like that where it's like, you know, we end with, you know, like telling a story and the D&D bit with like a piano rendition of kids playing, which is like the soundtrack that plays when they're doing the D&D thing. And then of course like Karen Parchan being like, what are you guys still doing here? Like, you know, like the lasagna is getting cold, like come upstairs, similar to like the last time around where she's like, it's super duper late, all of you need to go home. And so I do like that where it's like we're like throwing back to season one and like essentially the first scene of the show, especially because I think they even had a shot of the sprinkler outside of the Wheeler house. It's like we truly are like throwing back to the first scene of the show, and I really really liked that. And then like Holly running down with her friends and teaching her friends about D&D, and I liked that. It's like it reminds me of when Lucas gave Erica all of his Dungeons and Dragons stuff, and it's like we're doing another cycle of like teaching another sibling about Dungeons and Dragons, and that sibling being able to pass on like their knowledge and their love of Dungeons and Dragons to their friends. So I did like that. I thought it was really cute that it's like we're passing down the cycle and what's happening, and I really liked that. And then my last like fully consistent note is just like I like the artistic end credits that make up the lack of the opening credits. Like I like that where it's like a like Dungeons and Dragons handbook specifically for Stranger Things, and like all the characters and like their love. I'll be honest, I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, so I don't know much about it. But like like their levels and their abilities and stuff like that. And I liked that. One of my sisters was like, I swear to God, if they revealed that this was a campaign the whole time, I'll fucking lose it. Which they didn't, but I did think it was really cute that you like close it and it's sort of like the poster I think from like season 2, and it's like the Stranger Things Dungeons and Dragons handbook, and I was like, it's a really like it was a really sweet and cute way to end the show with like that after the whole like campaign thing that they did, and I really really liked that. Um, and then now I just have notes that my sisters had me write down, so like no reason for them not to know that Elle was still alive. The like lack of conclusion for the military bit, like uh did like Elle dies and they just left. I don't believe that. Like I don't believe that for a second. It's like I think that they should have stayed longer on that, being like, did they like why? Like I mean, I feel like she would have been like Kay would have been more pissed about that whole thing, but like they just kind of glossed over it. They're like, I know it's been 18 months and everything's back to normal again. And I'm like, I don't believe that for a fucking second. But yeah, that reminds me of like there's one shot where they like zoom up to a chandelier or some shit. And well, my sister just goes, if that light starts flickering, I'm gonna have a panic attack. And I'm like, I think we're just scared of doing close-ups on lights in Stranger Things now. I was like, if it flickers, I swear to God. But yeah, and then one of my sisters wanted me to write down that like she liked that the song "Heroes" has been like throughout the whole show and stuff like that, which I did think is cute. Like I think it's in like almost every single season. Um, but like that it's like it was the end credit song for the show and stuff like that, and I liked that. It was very cute. Like yeah, I think it's similar to the throwback of like the Dungeons and Dragons and kids and stuff like that, and like the throwback to like this is where we started, so this is where we're gonna end. And like it's been literally a decade I think since like this show started, but it's like we can still have that, and I really like that. And then my final note is just no one died except Kali. So, which like I don't know, there were a lot of like I had theories that like I thought that some people were gonna die, but this like shows very much not like Game of Thrones. Like they don't kill main characters, but there are just so many characters that's like you expect some of them to die. So it's like the fact that they didn't kill any of them like doesn't surprise me, but a little bit. I don't know, but yeah, like nobody, unless Elle truly did die, like Mike said, that truly is a theory on whether or not Elle actually survived. But it is really interesting that like like the especially in this episode, like hardly anybody died in this episode. Like the military died, but fuck those guys. But other than that, like nobody died in this episode. There was a lot of lack of death for a 2 hour and 8 minute long episode. So that kind of surprised me a bit. But yeah, that's it for my notes. I'm trying to think if I have any other. I mean, this episode's so long. Like, I feel like if I were to do a consistent thing, I would have to rewatch the episode, and I honestly am not gonna do that. I like how it ended. Like, and I think, from experience, like, series finales can go horribly, or they can go great. Like, I'm trying to think of examples. Like, I love the ending to Attack on Titan. I think the ending to Attack on Titan is amazing. I am not as vocal about my dislike of the ending of How I Met Your Mother and Game of Thrones like other people are. Like, one of my sisters fucking hates the ending of How I Met Your Mother. With Game of Thrones, I was like, it had its ups and downs. Like, I don't like that Bran is on the Iron Throne, but, like, whatever. But, like, I liked it. Like, I think that was my thing, is I was worried that, like, it was gonna end in a bullshit manner, and I liked that it was like, no, I wouldn't say we're gonna bring it back to its roots, but like in a way, like the last scene is gonna be like a full circle moment. Like it's gonna be a bittersweet full circle moment, but it's gonna be a full circle moment. And what that reminds me of is the series finale to the British version of Ghosts, because I love that, because that one's bittersweet, and it's definitely got the same way where it's like it's cute and it's bittersweet and it's like it very much is like you don't want it to end, but like it's going to have to. And like this is something like that where it's like I truly do think that I think the Duffer Brothers had some parts in mind for the show, but I don't think they thought it was going to be this big, and I don't think they thought that it was going to last this long. And so I think the show got too big for them, and I think there were some issues with that where I think they were like, well, we need to make season 5 the last season, and so some things like the military plot sort of like dropped off the face of the earth for the last episode, and they spent more time concluding things that I don't think needed to be concluded. But I do like that, as much as I complained about the whole, like, Byler thing and the whole, like, love triangle thing, I like that we spent more time with the characters in this season. Like, I feel like, especially the episode right before the finale, where it's like, we spent time to be with the characters in, and I think it's just very much like these characters are about to leave us, essentially. Like, they're about to move on with their lives. Like, they're going off to college, they're getting jobs, like, they're doing all these things, and it very much is like, we're saying goodbye to them, and so we have to spend time with them and understand them and sort of get the conclusion with that. Which means that unfortunately, since like, what did the military just up and leave? Like, did they throw a hissy fit? Like, what happened with that? We don't fucking know. And so it's very much stuff like that. Like, that's the only thing that I can think of. I'm sure there are other plot examples, but like, those are the things that I can think about where it's like, or like, how did this random scientist in some cave in God knows fucking where get like a rock from the abyss or some shit like that? And I think that like that's not a thing that needs to be answered. I think in that way it's like it explains how Henry gets his powers, and so it explains how everybody else has their powers, but it's like it's things like that where it's like I think they left so much up to the finale, and I know that there were a lot of theories before this finale came out. Like, a lot of people were like questioning things frame by frame, going, I think that Will's still possessed, and like Vecna's in his head. And it's like that wasn't the case. Um, there was something about the Betrayer, which I think is a reference to a previous Dungeons and Dragons campaign that they did, but like I said, I did not rewatch any of Stranger Things before watching season 5, so I didn't fucking know. And clearly it didn't matter anyways, but it's very much things like that. Like, I, yeah, like, I mean, overall, I liked the ending to it. I think that I was hesitant about liking it, and I think part of it is that I've said in other episodes, like, it's been so long since this show has come out that I just, like, I've reached a point where it's like, I'm done and I'm over it. It's like, but, like, I liked it. In fact, I don't know. I wanna, I'm so behind on shows, so I might watch those shows first, but I would like to actually, like, rewatch all of Stranger Things with season 5 and, like, watch how it's grown throughout the years, and I think that would be really fun. I think that it'll probably be a minute before I do that, and I probably wouldn't talk about it or post about it. I think that'd just be for my personal benefit than anything else. Um, but yeah, like, I think that would be a really fun thing to do, to be like, here's how it started, and here's how it ended, and stuff like that. And I think it's really fun to do shows like that. Like, I haven't done that with a lot of stuff. I kind of did that with Attack on Titan. I did that with Game of Thrones. Um, which, like, I don't I don't hate season 8 of Game of Thrones like everybody else does. It has its downs, but there are also bits of it that I like. But like, yeah, it's stuff like that. But it's just like when you dedicate so long to watching something that, like, I mean, even then in and of itself it's sad to like watch it go away. And I think very much with this where it's like I mean, I watch the show and I have to think about the fact that it's like I am the same age as those child actors, and I think it's just like freaky to think about that sometimes, where it's just like I was, because I think I want to say that the show aired in 2016, so I was 15 when this show came out, and so like spending all that time, like I'm about to turn 25, so like spending all that time, and like I didn't start watching the show when it came out. I got into it with season 2, but it's just like spending all that time watching the show and like dedicating time to watching it. And like there are very much things like there's only 5 seasons, like it's really not that long, but it's like how long it's been, and I think that's my issue with it. I don't know where the fuck this tangent is going, but like that's whoa, my brain broke. But like that's like a thing I think is like there aren't a lot of seasons for how long this show's been going, but at the same time it's like it's still a lot. Like it's still a lot and it can still be enjoyable, and I still really liked this season. Like I think I was so like I'm still deterred by the length of the episodes. I think the ending to season 4 was much longer though. I think it was like 2.5 hour long episodes, and I was like, fuck that. So this is not as bad as that, but it's just, and it didn't, no, that's a lot. I was about to be like, it didn't feel like it was 2 hours long. It did feel like it was 2 hours long. I take that statement back wholeheartedly. I was like, no, it felt like it was 2 hours long. And it like definitely there were definitely parts that they could have taken out. I was like, we don't need to spend time on all of these things. It's just, but yeah, I could have hated it and I didn't. And like I was telling my sisters, like it's a sweet ending, and I think it's like where it comes from. It's like it's sweet. Like it's a nice way to end the show, and considering that I feel like a lot of shows these days have a history of like pissing off their fans when they end, I'm glad that at least in my case, the ending of the show did not piss me off. I was like, it's cute. Like I had issues with like flashbacks and like I had issues with editing styles. I did not have issues with the plot. Like the plot was fine. Like the ending with the plot, that was great. All of my issues with this series finale were with how it was edited. So it's like I that's just how I felt about it. So I do like that. I don't know where this tangent was going. But I think I'm gonna end it there. My throat hurts. I've been talking for a really long time. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. God damn it, this rambly bullshit nonsense uh review of the series finale of Stranger Things. I have no idea what I am going to talk about next. I got no clue for you. I've been rewatching Teen Wolf. I probably will not review that. um, but yeah, I don't know what's gonna come after this. It will probably be something that I'm super behind on, and will be like, hey, I finally got the time to watch this thing. I have a whole list, so you will get content. You will probably get more gaming content before that, but you will be getting content. So I have a massive backlog of videos that I just haven't started editing yet. So yay! Because I was like, the easy part's done, and now I don't want to edit them because I really suck at editing. If you haven't noticed yet, I'm terrible at editing. So yeah, but I hope you enjoyed this review. I will be moving locations again, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.